Hello, everybody. Rez here, and I'm actually going to do something a little different. I'm going to cook for you all. I'm going to be making my chicken tenders. So, full disclosure, full disclosure. I already made some. I forgot to hit the record button. So I'm going to be doing it all again for you. I've got my own breader here that I've made. Most of my spices, just kosher salt, because I don't like using iodized salt. Normally I like using maybe some Himalayan or sea salt, but kosher is what I normally go for. About a $half full in my palm in the breader. Onion powder, same thing, about a $half in there. Pepper, black pepper, in there, $half size. But the only thing that I didn't do a $half size was garlic powder. I personally don't like to use a lot of garlic powder. I did just slightly less than everything else. I love garlic, but I don't want it to completely overpower my breader. You mix it all up, whisk it together, and it'll be nice, ready for you. And you can save it and use it for like fried chicken or other things like that. Experiment with your spices. Maybe you want to add crushed red pepper to it to get some heat. I would love to do that. I've done that before. Next is a simple egg wash. Personally, I use, it's much easier than most people think. All you got to do is get like 2 eggs and a splash of milk. That's it. My egg wash consists of the egg yolk, solely the yolk, and for like 2 or 3 of these chicken breasts here, I've got the big full-on white meat with rib meat chicken breast. Just 2 or 3 yolks will work. Basically, rule of thumb, you'll want as many yolks as you're cooking chicken breasts. I've got my deep fryer set to 350, which is a good starting temperature. Most everything is 350. As for the egg wash, by the way, just a splash of milk. I know I'm going about things a little backwards, but I'm a little frustrated because I got I botched my first recording. My first recording went really well. I enjoyed it. I forgot to hit record. This is why you need a second set of hands usually when you're doing videos, so you have that tech support. But you want yours to look nice and well mixed. You don't want any separation between the eggs and the yolk, or the yolk and the milk. Next up, I'm going to grab, let's go for a smaller breast this time, because I've already made some. That's not my cutting board. That's my cutting board. I'm also going to need a new plate because I dripped chicken juice on that. Food and health safety. You do not want to put your cooked food on anything that has had raw chicken or raw meats anywhere near it. I cannot stress that enough. Food and health safety. Now, I don't like a lot of fat and rib meat, so I try and cut my chicken free of it. You might want rib meat on your tenders. You do you. Cook how you want. Cooking is an art that you can use to express yourself however you'd like. As long as you follow food and health safety standards. I like to cut my chicken breasts about 1/2 inch thick, because the thinner you cut your meat, the faster it cooks. And in my opinion, when dealing with fried foods, you want something that cooks pretty darn fast, especially if you're using a breader. This guy is a little too long. We're going to cut him in half. Same with this one. Something else you can do with these chicken tenders is you can cut them into cubes or chunks, and you can roll the finished product in like buffalo sauce or barbecue sauce, and you've got your basic boneless chicken wings. Because wings are white meat, right? Same difference. Good little party snack. So I'm taking my chunks here and rolling them around real quickly in the egg wash. Let it drip just a little bit, and it goes right into the flour. Reason I want it to drip is because I don't want chunks of just flour and egg wash in my breader. You don't want that stuff in the chicken juice just sitting in your breader, getting up to room temperature, contaminating their breader. You don't want that. The egg wash creates a nice little barrier that helps the flour mix stick to your tenders and keeps the moisture in. Now, something you guys might see steaming up on the stove is an extra little pot. That is something that I didn't make. My mother made it. And we're going to be using that as a type of gravy for the tenders. It is her white sauce. At some point, we will discuss how to go over and make white sauce. The ingredients are super simple. You either want heavy cream or milk, and then just flour, but it's equal parts to both. I haven't mastered that science yet, and it is a science. But once I do, you can bet we'll cover it. As your stuff is cooking, it's always a good idea to clean up after yourself. This is the last of the cutting board I'll use. So I'm going to get this right in the sink. And at least wiped down a little bit so I can give it a thorough washing when we're done. Always make sure you rinse off your chicken juice. Always. You don't want chicken juice anywhere near your food, because that's the best way to get sick. Cross-contamination. All right, so we got our plate ready over there for when our tenders are done. What I like to do is get some paper towels down to sop up all the extra oil when the tenders are done cooking. Because, if you ask me, there is nothing more disgusting than biting into something and getting just a mouthful of oil. Cooking oil is the same thing as a skillet. It's the same thing as an oven. It is a tool to use, not something to consume. That is my semi-controversial cook's opinion. Now, what you'll want to do is you want to make sure you have a meat thermometer near you, because you never want undercooked chicken tenders. This one, I'm lucky, this one has a very nice little section of text here that tells you what temperature for each meat is safe to cook. When these tenders are done, they're going to reach about 165. 165 is the safe cooking temperature for chicken. You want that or higher. No, there is no timer for this. I eyeball it and use the thermometer. Now, this white sauce, while we're talking about that real quick, is really cool. So if you have like an excess bit of milk that's about to go bad, you can turn it into white sauce really easy. I say really easy, but there's a fine line on how to make it. Once you master it, you can turn it into white sauce really easy. And you can freeze it. This is actually reheated white sauce. And it lasts for a bit. You might need to reconstitute it a little bit with another splash of milk, like I had to, and whisk it. But it's good. And it is delicious. Like I said, you can also save your flour. Use it for other chickens. I want a rule of thumb is you can save this for like, I want to say maybe 5 days. That's the minimum and maximum that I allow myself to save extra breader for. Well, I'll put this in a Ziploc and I'll be putting it up in my spice cabinet. And when your tenders are done, you will end up with some very nice, light, juicy white meat tenders. And just look at that nice golden brown on that. The lighting is bad, but it's there. So good. Alright, so something I like to do after it's been cooking for a little bit is give the basket a little shake. Make sure it doesn't stick to each other and make sure it doesn't stick to the basket itself. Now let's see. Honestly, they're looking a little done already. It's been a bit. There was a cut. So let's put our thermometer in there and double check our temperature. You want to make sure that it's fully inserted into the chicken, but not touching the basket. Always, always, always use a meat thermometer. Even if you're super experienced or like you're in any form of like work kitchen, use a thermometer. Unless you're in like McDonald's or something and it's got like timers on their stuff. Then you follow your corporate overlords. But if you're doing it at home, if you're doing it in a home cook kitchen or a scratch kitchen, use the thermometer. I cannot stress food and food safety enough. You don't want bad chicken. You don't want rubber chicken. You don't want to get sick from it. Okay, right now we're sitting at about 150 for that tender. Yeah, we're sitting at about 150 for all of them. Always check multiple tenders. Because just because one is done doesn't mean they're all done. Should be about maybe minute left on it. And actually, I am done with this chicken. So let me get this packaged up and in the fridge with a date on it. Always date your stuff. If you're not using all of your chicken, write down the date that was on the package on the Ziploc so you know when it was supposed to go bad. Trust nothing when it comes to dates and food. You gotta be careful. Always be careful. I've lost my Ziplocs. All right, let's check our tenders now. They got a really deep golden brown on it. So they should be done. So, while we're doing this, if you guys have any other recipes that you want me to try, outside of my own recipes, go ahead and leave a comment below. Give the video a little like, maybe subscribe. I would love to do more cooking videos for you guys. Because I adore cooking. If you have any twists that you've made on this recipe, or you'd like to share your results with the same recipe that I'm using, do the same. Like, comment, subscribe. That one's sitting at 165, 170. All right, some two are sitting at 170. 170. Okay, these guys are done. One more tender just to be safe. They're about 170. Lovely. All right. And one quick plate up later, after I, dab my tenders to get all the oil off of them. If you're like me and you like salted stuff on your fried things, or salt on your fried things, immediately after it comes out of the oil, sprinkle it with salt. Same thing with French fries. You see people at McDonald's do it, that's because the oil will absorb the salt and it will be absorbed into your food. So if you give me 1 second to plate this up with the white sauce, I'll be done and over, and we can move on with our day. All right, and here we go, the finished project. I hope you all have enjoyed. This is Rez signing out. I'm going to eat my dinner, and I will catch you all later.